welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video. I'm already wet, so don't worry about that. It is raining. I'm back at Todber Manor and I'm fishing a lake that I've not fished down here before, but I've always wanted to. Paddock. Oh yes, we know this is full of catfish and carp. I know a lot of people aren't a big fan of cats. I don't mind them, and one of my targets this year is another decent cat. One about £30 would do me. I'm not interested in catching a 70 or 80 because that's what they got up to in here. Just a 25, £30, that'll do me. I'll be happy with that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this. So 24-hour session on Paddock. We are really here for the carp because there are some nice carp in here, but we would take a half decent cat. And I'm just walking around the lake now. There's 2 people on already, and it looks quite smart, quite interesting. And actually, I've heard that this lake was one of the, if not the first ones that was dug at Todber. I don't want to say it is the first in case I'm wrong, but I've heard that it's one of the first lakes that was dug here at Todber. And apparently, again, don't take it for gospel, but from what I've heard, they stocked 11 carp in here. I'm not going to walk around there. No, thank you. I'm going to go back the other way. But yeah, apparently they stocked it with 11 carp in here. And apparently 10 of them have died. There's one left. It's called the fossil. Now, it is a named fish. There is a most wanted list of fish in here. But the carp do go to mid-30s. I think the biggest was high 30s. So it would be lovely. And because some of the fish, the carp are old in here, they've got a lot of character. The scale patterns are a lot nicer. So I think the actual carp themselves in this lake are nicer on the whole than big haze, little haze, Wadmere, willow bank, all that sort of thing. So let's give it a go. Come on, cat. Come on, the carp. Right, well, here is my swim. I don't know exactly which swim it is. They're not numbered. Like I said, it's the first time I've been on here, but oh, it looks good. I've got quite a bit of room. I've definitely got a decent right hand side margin, so I'm getting a rod down there. Got a small island out in front of me and a small island to my left, so I'm going to get a rod out down the right hand side, one sort of towards that island. I don't want to be too close for obvious reasons, and then one out to my left somewhere. Bait I'm using today is obviously Parker baits. We've got some 14mm, but it's the OG fish, and I'm not a massive fan of this because it stinks. I mean, it's bloody good bait, but it stinks. I am very much a fruit and nut kind of guy, but I know the carp do love the OG fish as well. And the reason why I'm using the OG fruit, the OG fish, is because obviously the cats. Now, the cats will pick up the fruit and nut, but they're more likely to take the OG fish because it's more of that squiddy octopus, like, do you know what I mean? That sort of fishy smell. I'm sort of contradicting myself here, aren't I? Because I'm saying I'm here for the carp, but I keep going on about the cats. I tell you what though, that fish that I mentioned before, the fossil, is definitely one that I would love in my photo album next to Big Red. If ever I do get lucky enough to catch Big Red, I would love to be able to try and catch the fossil as well. So maybe I'll start up a new series on Paddock Lake as well as Willow Bank. We could have the hunt for Big Red on Willow Bank, and maybe something like fossil hunting on Paddock. Right, well, I was going to walk around the bank actually and put my rod in down there and walk it back, but that water's a bit close to that tree. I don't know, I might end up in the drink there, so I've just underarm flicked it. I didn't get it as tight as I wanted to against that bank, but at the same time, it might not be a bad thing because I don't want to hook a cat in there and it take me straight in there. I'll be in all sorts of problems. So I've got myself a bit of playing room. I'm not fishing locked up, but I'm fishing quite tight. I don't want the bloody pod to end up in the drink either, so yeah, that's where we're at, and I am really bloody nervous. And that is backleaded, which I think is for obvious reasons. I might even move the pod back because I think if I do hook up anything, cat for example, it's going to be quite difficult to play them under the rod tips. You've got to think about these things. Right, well I am now all set up and fishing. All 3 rods are out. Actually, I was going to use a magic bean on the left one, but it turns out I didn't have any OG Fish magic beans with me. So I put a pink OG Fruit and Nut magic bean 15mm on the left hand rod, and that's gone towards a sort of tree on the far bank, not too far out. I'm worried about the islands. I am really nervous about hooking into a cat, and the last thing I want to do is lose my rig in a fish's mouth and create a long trailer and things like that. It's just not good, is it? The middle rod is on a OG Fish wafter, and that is cast out to the middle of the island right out in front of me, and that is about a rod length off the island. The right hand rod, obviously you've seen, has gone down on that right hand margin. Again, not too close to the margin, because again, I don't need any more hassle than I think I might get anyway if I do hook up one of these cats here. Of course, I'm after the carp, and you know, I am after the fossil, which seems mad. It is the first time I've been here, so you know that I'm sure there's people that have fished here for years that have never had it. I'm sure there's people that have fished here for years that have never had a carp. It's not an easy lake by any means. I'm not taking it for granted, but it's a start. The rods are out, we're fishing, and yeah, we're just going to take it from there. The baiting approach is going to be very, very light. I'm just going to be getting the throwing stick out and just basically getting some freebies, maybe 10 to 15 boilies over each spot. I've not put any solid bags out, I've not put any mesh bags out, I'm not going to be spodding. It's still early in the year, so the carp will still be quite cold and not moving around much. So I just want a small handful of bait over my hook baits. Well, I've just whipped up a couple of burgers on this NGT grill. I absolutely love it. Oh, look at that. Get inside my belly. Oh, let's get the old... I should be doing this with a plate because I'm going to get ketchup all over my bed. Look at that. Cool. The rain is still falling, which might not be a bad thing for the fishing. I've got the door letterbox style and I'm peeking out, just keeping my eyes on the water. I've not seen any movement, not seen anything jump. I don't know if I mentioned 2 other guys have rocked up and are fishing down to my right. I've still got plenty of room. They're the other side of the island, so it should be fine. But yeah, I've just been speaking to a couple of people, and you know, even though it's full of carp and cats, by no means is it an easy water. I came up here thinking that I was going to have a couple of cats. You know, it is still cold, and even though it is full of hungry cats and carp, it is still quite tricky. So I'd be happy just to have one on my first session here. But there is a strong possibility that I could struggle, you know. And the rods have been out for a couple of hours now. So what I am going to do is I'm going to get the throwing stick out, and I'm going to get about 5 or 10, between 5 and 10 baits over the spot. And then before darkness rolls in tonight, I'm going to redo the rods. But I do have to go to the car to get the GoPro for my chest mount, just in case I have any action overnight. I can show you guys a POV version of me playing the fish. However, if I do catch one before I go to the car, you won't get that footage. So yeah, the right hand bobbin is swinging. I think it's wind. I'm in a bit of a dilemma now because I decided that I was going to redo the rods before it got dark, and the light's just starting to fade. But I'm going to be honest with you, I don't really want to move the rods. I'm quite happy with where they are. I've not wrapped them up, I've just chucked them out to certain spots. I've not had a lead about or nothing. In time, as I fish more on this lake, I will, obviously, but I don't feel like moving the rods is going to be beneficial. I'm happy with where they're at. I'm happy with how they're fishing, and I've got bait out around them now, so I don't really want to touch them going into the night. That means that my GoPro is going to stay in the car, so I'm not going to have a chest mount or any footage of me playing any fish if I do hook up. So I'll try my best to get my camera set up so that you guys can see me playing a fish, but I don't know if I'm going to get on it quick enough, because I've got to, as soon as those reels go, I've got to get on them. That's if we do obviously get a bite. But as I say, it's just getting, well, the light's just starting to fade now. I've just got a big drop back on my left hand rod. I've got a fish on there. Right, well, we've just lost light. It's gone dark, and I've had my first bite. And it's a catfish. Unfortunately, a catfish, but it is, I would say, maybe. Oh, I've got to try and hold these now. Just remember how difficult it is to hold these. I would say it is around 15 or 20 pound, around that area. Let me hold it. There we go. Don't know how much of that you can see. There we go. Well, it's bloody typical, you can't write it. I was upset because I didn't have OG Fish magic beans with me. I only had fruit and nut magic beans with me, so I put 2 on the OG Fish, 1 on the fruit and nut, and lo and behold, it took the pink fruit and nut magic bean. That was on a left hand rod, which was out towards a tree on the far bank, so a few scattered boilies around there, and off it went. And to be honest, it didn't scream off. It was a very like cagey bite. I've heard that a lot of catfish, when they pick up bait, they pick the bait up and sort of like twist it in their mouths before they take it back to sort of see if they want it or not. And obviously what happens is they put it in their mouths, and as it's in their mouths, that's when the hook catches on. But yeah, it didn't fight like the cats that I've had before. I had control of it. I'm using quite a strong line as well, so that always helps. But yeah, I got it in all the way towards the net, and then it decided to take a last minute dive bomb to the right, and it wiped out my middle rod, and it wiped out my right hand rod as well, and they're backleaded. So it got right under the rod tip and then just went to the right. I couldn't stop it, and yeah, it took out both the other 2 rods. So it took me a while to get it in, but I managed to get the lines off, untangle it, and the right hand rod and the middle rod have gone back out absolutely fine. The rod that I caught the cat on, it's just absolutely mullered the rig. It's made a right mess of the rig, so I'm going to tie a new rig, get another pink magic bean on, and get it back out. But yeah, just as darkness came in, the cat came alive. So I don't want to be up all night being played by them. So, but I mean, again, don't get me wrong, I'm buzzing that I've had one. I haven't blanked, and yeah. Well, I was just telling you, wasn't I, about the way that they bite, and that would make sense with what just happened there. I just had a drop back and another drop back, and I went and looked at my rod and the bobbin was on the floor. So that's what happened last time. I picked it up and hit it and had a cat on. This time I picked it up, hit it, nothing there. So it must have picked the bait up, twisted it in its mouth and spat it back out. I'm guessing that's what happens, and I'm guessing that's why the first one I hooked it, this one managed to spit the hook and get away. So I'm guessing, like I said, now the dark's come in, the catfish are on the move, because I do believe they are nocturnal creatures. Obviously catch them during the day as well, but I do not want to be up all night, like I said, playing these. Well, I'm out of the bivvy again. I've got another rod in, because catfish number 2 is in the net. Now, I didn't have time to set the camera up to film me playing this one, but it's just going to rest there. It's slightly bigger than the first one. I might weigh this one, and yeah, we'll get it out and get some photos of it. But like I said, if I'm going to be getting this all night, I think I'm just going to leave 2 rods out. Oh dear. Well done, Billy. Right, let's get this cat out. Let's weigh it up and get some photos. And here we are, second catfish of the session. This one weighed 28 pounds with a sling, but the sling weighs, these slings are quite heavy, 5 or 6 pounds, so this one's just over 20 pounds, 22, 23. And this was on the middle rod with a OG fish match a hatch wafter. Is he going to let me hold him up? Probably not. And there you go. I don't know how much of that you got. But yeah, there you go. That's not a bad picture, is it? Happy days. Well, there we go then. That is catfish number 2. And that one, I think the sling weighed 5.5, about 5.5. So that catfish was around 22.5, something like that. But yeah. Oh, it tires you out. People have been on it and had massive hits. You know, if you think this is how it's fishing in the winter, think what it's like when the cats actually wake up. Again, I'm not putting much bait out at all, just a single few scattered boilies over the top. But yeah, I'm dropping down to 2 rods. I'm thinking about dropping down to 1 rod, to be honest, because I don't want to not get any sleep tonight, because it's just going to be constant otherwise. Billy the Blank Saver has done such a good job for me over the last couple of sessions. He's going to be rewarded by staying in the dry in the bivvy all night, sleeping next to me. But it is an absolute mud bath out there, I'm not even joking. Everything's just covered in mud, the alarms, the bobbins, the rods, the reels. It's all going to need cleaning off. And the rain's about to come in as well. I think it's about 8 PM now. The rain's meant to come in, I think, about midnight, all the way through tomorrow. So hopefully that washes off the alarms and the reels and the rods and stuff. But it's probably going to flick up all the mud in a swim and make it worse. But yeah, we've got an orange magic bean wafter out now on the left-hand rod, fruit and nut. And we've got a 14mm OG fish bottom bait with a white topper on the right-hand rod. I'm fishing 2 rods. Good morning. It is about 7 o'clock in the morning now, and since going down to 2 rods just before last night, I've not actually had anything. So it might have been a blessing in disguise, because I don't know if you can hear, but it is absolutely it down. Sorry, it is chucking it down, and it has been chucking it down all night, and it's not meant to stop all day. So it's going to be a wet pack down, which is always fun. We look forward to that. But yeah, it's going to be a bit carnage in it. But once you're in the car and everything's getting soaked, but you got the heater on and you're driving home, yeah, it's one of them, innit? You just got to put up with that. It's all part of winter fishing. But we had 5 minutes just a minute ago where it's sort of the rain sort of slowed down a little bit. So I got back out, redone the rods. I've kept 2 rods out. I just want to fish with 2 rods. I think it's easier here in the situation that I'm in. If I've got 3 rods out, of course there's more chance of catching fish, but there's also more chance of being tangled and wiping out my other lines. It causes more hassle than what it's worth. So I've got a few hours to try and make something happen today, and yeah, hopefully we can have a carp. If I have 1 carp before I go, I'll be over the moon. If I have no fish before I go, I'll be okay. I'll be satisfied, a couple of cats, and if I have another cat or 2, so be it. Right, well, we just had another 5-minute break in the rain, and I took that opportunity to get some more bait out. So I got my throwing stick, and I put quite a bit, to be fair. 20-25 boilies over each rod. Like I say, I'm down to 2 rods now. I'm only using 2 rods because it's just too manic. Especially, I was worried as well, is like, if I get a double hookup in here, I mean, a double hookup with carp is bad enough, but a double hookup with cats? Oh, in here, where there's not a lot of room to go. But yeah, like I say, if I have one more cat, it is what it is. I'm happy, and I just want a carp. That's what I really want. And do you know what I want more than a carp? A dry pack down. Actually, I don't know. Depends what carp it is. If it's like a £10 plain, no, I don't know. Actually, I'd still rather have that. I think I'd rather have a carp than a wet pack down. But hopefully, I don't have no carp and a wet pack down, because that would just be the worst. Actually, no, blanking would be the worst. I'm waffling, aren't I? I am absolutely waffling. Right, I'm gonna go. I'll let you know if anything happens. Well, it's absolutely beautiful out here. It's a lovely morning. And this is an absolute fantastic lake. One of the most prettiest lakes, if not the prettiest lake at Todber. It's got more of a nature feel to it, rather than like the others that just feel like they're just big holes in the ground. Essentially, that's what they are. That's what lakes are, isn't it? But there's an element of natural beauty about this one. Well, someone's just turned up opposite me, and when they first arrived, it was absolutely fine. And now, all of a sudden, the heavens have opened, and it is slashing it down. This is what it was doing all night last night, so, like I say, I don't mind if I don't get a bite when it's peeing it down like this, but so it's meant to be in now. I've looked at the weather, but the weather's all like, it's all over the place. It's changing every 5 minutes. Changes like the weather. But yeah, apparently at 11, it's meant to go down to 40% chance of rain, and then 12 is 40% chance as well. And then lo and behold, at 1 o'clock when I've got to be off, it stops bloody raining, which is so typical. But so yeah, I've only really got a couple of hours left to try and make something happen. I'm slowly packing bits away in the bivvy. I'm keeping everything in the bivvy so that it stays dry. And then what I'm going to do is I'll bring the rods in, and then once they're in, anything that's in the bivvy that's dry, I'll take it straight over to the car, probably bed chair first, to try and keep that as dry as possible. Bed chair straight in the car, anything else that's dry straight in the car, and leave the bivvy till last minute. But yeah, oh, one more fish, and please be a carp, come on. Well, to be honest with you, since I've been here, I've not seen anybody else on the lake catch, so I've not heard either. Seen or heard anybody catch, and it's quite a small lake. I can see every swim from where I'm at now. You've got somebody in the first one, somebody in the second one. They've been here all night. Someone's just turned up today opposite me. He's only just set up, and then the 2 guys that are down towards they're sort of opposite me but to the right, they've been here all night, and I don't think they've had anything either. So it looks like I'm the only one that's caught on the lake. So with that in mind, a couple of cats might not be a bad session here today. I think we've got about half an hour to go. I've got the bed chair in the car, which is happy days. That's nice and dry. And yeah, it's just a case of bringing in the rods, packing down a bivvy, and that'll be me done. So what I would say is, if you don't see any more footage after this clip, then that is the end of this session at Paddock Lake, 24 hours at Todber Manor. And if you do want to see me come back here, I will. I don't know if I want to do a campaign on it, because I think I'm going to have to go through a lot of catfish, but I could come back in the summer and try and knuckle down onto the carp. But if I'm coming up here specifically for the carp, I don't want to be having to go through, you know, 10, 20, 30, 40, even 100 cats before I start getting carp. So it's a possibility. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. But thanks for watching this one, and I'll see you next time. Bish, bash, bosh.